Welcome back to the program. Now, Abu Dhabi's Etisalat has terminated its management agreement with its Nigerian subsidiary and has given the business time to phase the brand out of the country. Now, this comes after Nigerian regulators stepped in to save Etisalat Nigeria, which has about 14% market share, from complete collapse after talks with lenders, all 13 of them, to renegotiate a $1.2 billion loan imploded. Now, all UAE shareholders of Etisalat Nigeria have left the company. They're off the board and they're not in management either. Discussions between Etisalat International and its Nigerian arm are now ongoing to provide technical support for another 3 weeks before the brand, of course, is eventually phased out. So let's dig deeper into exactly what's going on up there. Deji Badmus is live in Lagos. He's got more data on this story. So, Deji, all UAE investors out of the business, off management, off the board. When will the brand be phased out?
Well, what we understand is that the phasing out might happen in 3 weeks' time, but of course, Etisalat is still, Etisalat Abu Dhabi now is still talking with Etisalat Nigeria, but the understanding is that in 3 weeks' time, that Etisalat Nigeria will be phased out. Now, something we must understand is this, and that's what the NCC has been doing here. When I talk about the NCC now, I mean the National Communications Commission now. That's the regulator of the telecoms industry here. It's actually trying to allay the fears of subscribers, Etisalat subscribers in Nigeria, that it's not as if the company is dying. It's not as if the company is going to die. That what is just going to happen, as we have seen, is that there's been a change in management and that we might see a change in name. I mean, it might no longer bear that name, Etisalat Nigeria. We might see a change in name before probably a new investor acquires the telecoms, the telecoms outfit now. But of course, we expect that phasing out to happen in about 3 weeks' time, Rama.
Indeed, we'll get back to the business of selling it a little later, but let's step back a bit. This $1.2 billion loan, a fairly large amount of it had already been paid back, and we understand, of course, the Nigeria is in a recession, its monetary policy has issues, which we've discussed here before. So why did talks on restructuring this loan fail? What was it that these parties couldn't agree on?
Well, basically, the reason why the talks failed is just because both parties, I'm talking about the banks now and the management of Etisalat, could not agree in terms of the restructuring of the loan. What we understand is that Etisalat actually wanted the loan to be repaid in naira as a result of the devaluation of the naira. Now, the banks are not ready to take that risk. We even understand the CBN actually was not averse to the idea of Etisalat repaying the loan in naira. Even NCC too was not averse to the idea, but the banks too, actually borrowed the money, and they borrowed this money in dollars before lending it on to Etisalat, and so it would be very risky, because if these banks were to accept the repayment of the loan now in naira, you never can tell. Supposing the value of the naira drops, who takes the FX risks that will be associated with that? So basically, the banks refuse. As a matter of fact, at some point, we understand the banks actually asked Etisalat Nigeria to talk to its parent company in Abu Dhabi to repay the loan, but of course, that did not yield result. And so basically, that's the reason why they couldn't come to an agreement. And Rama, let me just say something, because Etisalat actually released a statement some time ago, about 3 weeks ago, saying that it has actually repaid about 42% of this loan. So what we're talking about here is not $1.2 billion anymore. It's far less than that. As a matter of fact, Etisalat Nigeria says what it is owing the banks is actually $574 million. And remember, the loan is actually in two components, dollars and naira. The dollar component is around $227 million, and then the naira component is 113 billion naira. Now, when you add all of that, it comes up to $574 million. That is what Etisalat Nigeria says it is owing the banks, and not $1.2 billion, Rama.
Indeed. So clearly it's a question of who's going to take the pain. So final question then. This company has 14% market share. The brand is being phased out in 3 weeks. So what happens next? Is this a company worth buying?
Yeah, of course. I mean, it's a company worth buying, to be candid. Etisalat has a subscriber base of around 21 million persons, 21 million persons subscribing to that network. That's quite huge. It's the fourth largest mobile telecom provider in this country. It has a huge potential for expansion. No question at all that it's a company worth buying, and there's no doubt at all that a buyer will definitely surface somehow, because 21 million subscribers, Rama, is no mean feat at all. And this was a promising company that was doing very well. Unfortunately, we had this naira devaluation, the forex crisis, and unfortunately it could not keep to the terms of this loan. And then we also have to look at the size of the loan itself. I mean, now that Etisalat Nigeria has come out to say, well, it's not as if it is owing $1.2 billion, that what it is actually owing is $574 million. Well, that sounds interesting, and I don't think the company will be short of buyers. I think it's just a matter of time. I think buyers will definitely come up, even local buyers, as a matter of fact. But we just have to wait and see. But there's no question at all that Etisalat has a huge prospect for growth. And with its 21 million subscribers, that's something very huge that most investors will find very difficult to ignore.
Indeed. Let's see if they can actually walk past the whole issues around monetary policy. We'll leave it there for the time being, though. Thank you for that. That's Tej Badmus, of course, live in Lagos.